Hello and welcome to the 2021 and 2022 European Solar Prize ceremony. This award is Europe's paramount prize given to the 100% renewable energy based innovation and application that is so centrally important to our climate stabilization efforts here in Europe, but across the world. From Finland to Turkey, from Iceland to Siberia, we cover the entire European continent with our sections and each year award this important prize. This year, we are hosted by the Netherlands, our youngest and most dynamic current section. And I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Carol Olsen and Vincent Dekker, the presidents of this section, who will guide you to the first part of this afternoon's ceremony. But before we do, I'd like you to relax and sit back and join me to the wonderful capital city of the Netherlands, Amsterdam, and one of its most important buildings, the city scales former city gates of De Waag, or also known as City Weighing Station. Enjoy.
As they say, God created the land, but the Dutch created the Netherlands. By using windmills to pump water, the Dutch reclaimed the land from the sea in the great struggle of man versus nature, which continues to this very day. We are in Amsterdam. Known as the Venice of the North, it's crisscrossed by a network of canals built in the 17th century, the same era in which Amsterdam arose as a global center of finance and trade. In the center of Amsterdam, the Nieuwmarkt is a square where people have been trading since 1614. At the turn of the 19th to the 20th century, groups would gather on the Nieuwmarkt to discuss the political and social issues of the day. Then and now, the focal point of the Nieuwmarkt remains the iconic building, De Waag. De Waag, or the Weighing House, is the oldest non-religious building in the city. It started out as part of the city's walls, but became a freestanding building around 1600 as the city expanded. Merchants that traded goods in the city weighed their products here. In 1600, the top floor and tower became home to the guilds, such as the Painters' Guild, the Masons' Guild, the Town Militia, the Surgeons' Guild, and others. Each guild had its own decorated entrance to the building. The two guilds that had the most impact on the building were those of the Masons and the Surgeons. The Masons built the staircase, the hearth, and chiseled ornaments on the towers and throughout the building. The Surgeons had an octagonal domed amphitheater constructed in 1691, where they performed anatomy lessons on deceased bodies, which is shown in Rembrandt's world-famous painting. Between 1731 and 1789, the Surgeons had 87 coats of arms painted on the ceiling of the dome. In the Golden Age, De Waag was used both for economic expansion as well as for the humanistic pursuit of scientific knowledge. It was a place where people attempted to push humanity forward. Here we are now in the anatomical amphitheater, discussing the social and scientific issues of our day. Issues which come through most profoundly in the energy transition. So greetings and welcome. I, along with Vincent Dekker, who's also present here today, are the co-chairs of EUROSOLAR NL, the Dutch section of EUROSOLAR. Although we're not physically together in the historic building just described in the video, we are delighted to celebrate it as our symbolic virtual meeting venue. I turn now to the city of Amsterdam, represented today by Marieke van Doornik, the Deputy Mayor for Spatial Development and Sustainability, who will now extend a gracious welcome to you all.
Dear all, please be very welcome in the beautiful city of Amsterdam. And we are here together today for the European Solar Prize ceremony. With these prizes, we celebrate inspiring energy transition initiatives and renewable energy pioneers across Europe. And I'm also proud to say that Amsterdam has been prize winner with 2 projects already in the past. Schoon Schip, for example, a neighborhood here in Amsterdam in 2019, and Schooldakrevolutie in 2020, a project that inspires to have all the rooftops of schools, primary schools and elementary schools in Amsterdam and in the Netherlands, all covered with solar panels. And I have heard that also today some of the prizes will go, or one of the prizes will go to a Dutch pioneer project, but I will keep that to myself because I don't want to spoil the surprise. So in the Netherlands we have good examples of new energy projects, but especially here in Amsterdam we also have a lot of people who are working on renewable energy and good examples of projects. And we're very proud, but also it's needed that we have those in Amsterdam, because Amsterdam is a very ambitious city when it comes to renewable energy and becoming a climate neutral city in 2050. So we need all these innovators, all these dreamers to make Amsterdam a climate neutral city, and we need them to be inspiring for the rest of the population and also for the rest of the world. One of the inspiring examples that we have here in Amsterdam is, for example, the Energy Lab in the southeast part of the city, which will be presented later this afternoon. With the inspiring projects from the past and in great anticipation of who will be the winners of today, I wish you a beautiful event and a great celebration later for, of course, the winners. Enjoy.
We have 2 short presentations that highlight efforts in the Dutch energy transition, one from Amsterdam and the other giving a nationwide perspective. So I'd like to introduce now Anoushka Nienhuis, Rizwan Bazarat, Matthijs Maris, who will talk about the social energy transition initiatives in the southeast of Amsterdam.
Hello, good afternoon. I think Anoushka will introduce it a bit, is it?
Thank you. I'm Anoushka Nienhuis. I'm working for the municipality in the area development in the southeast of the city. And I'm working on the sustainability part of that and the innovation. And we are very busy with the social energy transition in that part. And we work together also with the existing city. And we have to do this together. And local initiatives are very important to do it together and to get you have to do this together in energy transition. We cannot do that only from a municipality. This is a map of Amsterdam, and you can see southeast is here, the purple part in the south. And today I invited 2 local initiatives to this meeting, so they can tell what they are doing. And the first one is I want to introduce Matthijs. And Matthijs is this is the energy vision that we made for the whole area in 2000. We want to be energy neutral in this place by 2040. And 2 of the initiatives from the local are the biodigester and the mosque. And I like to ask Matthijs Maris, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Anushka. Thank you for the opportunity to give some inspiration to the European Solar Prize by means of a project in Southeast. I'm Matthijs Maris, originally working for one of the founding members of the initiative of the biodigester, but in the meantime becoming the project leader for establishing this biodigester in Amsterdam Southeast.
And why did you start this initiative, Matthijs?
Well, if you zoom out, which can't, but if you zoom out of this picture, you would see the Amsterdam Southeast neighborhood, which is characterized by, well, on the one hand, a large business park with a lot of wealth, and on the other hand, a neighborhood that is called Southeast with almost 90,000 inhabitants that, has got a certain extent of poverty compared to the other to the standard in the Netherlands. Initially, we started this project with 7 large corporates that are located at the business park of Southeast. And we were just discussing, well, can we organize our waste and other issues that are facilitative to the business collectively and organize in an effective way to collect, transport, and perhaps locally process waste. And we came out with food waste, which is by means of a biodigester, a certain or an interesting source for sustainable energy and fertilizer. So we started this project quite small. And while working out the project and the network, we broadened the scope and saw many other opportunities to implement and integrate the principles of the donut economy, and as well to integrate it more into the neighborhood Southeast as a whole, that it's not only beneficial for some corporates that are not really, it's in the margin of their activity, but it become a big project that has impact on the wealth and sustainability of the neighborhood as a whole. And so we ended up with a project that is not only collecting waste at some companies on the western part of Southeast, but it's a really local project, and it produces, of course, sustainable energy, electricity, and heat. And we found a good solution to get the heat consumed every moment that it is there by transferring it into cold. So we provide a data center with cold, and we produce fertilizer that is used in the Ajax Stadium, so the familiar Johan Cruyff Arena. And of course, we reduce the transport, but those were the initial goals. Now we create jobs as well and education, because the collective and the transport, etc., will be done by people from the neighborhood. We provide them perspective. They were vulnerable, and they will decrease their distance to the labor market that they had in the past. We create a framework for future donut economy projects, and above all, we create exposure and awareness in participating other companies, but as well as being some kind of a landmark in Southeast for inhabitants for the new chances of the circular economy.
And how many people will work there with a distance to the labor market? Well,
at the moment we provide 7 to 10, but this group will shift every year. So they get their education and they become ready for the labor market. So we change the group every year.
Okay, and the digester still has to be built, and it will be next year, isn't it?
Yes, we will build the digester next year. We have closed almost all the contracts now, and we're doing the preparation work for the installation of the system next to the Ajax Arena.
Okay, thank you. Because of the time, I want to go to Rizwan. Rizwan, you're also here. Yes. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I am Rizwan Basrat, board member of the Taiba Mosque in Amsterdam Southeast also. We started a year ago with the wish. Energy neutral and sustainability is an active topic in our community, and we said as board let's see if we can make our mosque a second home to a lot of Muslims in the neighborhood and in the city energy neutral. We were. It's a relative old building. We were a standard gas consuming building. Also, we had old school boilers. We said a year ago, let's make this. Let's remove it and let's put heat pumps and new techniques in the building. Now a year further. We cut off our gas line and we are heating the building up fully electrical.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
No gas anymore, and we're currently investigating because we have a kitchen which provides 1,000 to 1,500 meals if there are big events. And also we do to the poor people in our community and in the neighborhood, we give them food at least twice a week. And we're now currently investigating how we can also get our kitchen energy neutral so that the building is really energy neutral. And eventually we have a large roof. We want to put the whole roof full with solar panels so that we can also provide our own power. And
and on the social side, Rizwan, you save money with this yearly.
Yeah.
And how much money do you save by making it energy neutral, and where do you spend it on?
We expect to save 10 to 12,000 euros on a yearly base, and we want to redirect our savings back into the community. So community-based projects, and primarily also the kitchen. Now we are doing 1,000 to 1,500 meals for people who don't have meals every day. We want to see if we can enlarge. Let's go to 2,000, 2,500, 3,000. So,
which is very necessary in the southeast of Amsterdam, because there's a lot of because of the corona, there's a lot of people that are even more under the poverty. Limits.
A lot of jobs also lost due to corona, or not lost, are at the moment stopped. Because there's no possibility to continue, and we help also those people. Mosque is still allowed to be open 7 days a week. So in that case, we also act as a second home for a lot of people.
Yeah, and also what you do is you put all boards up with all the numbers that you saved on energy and things like that.
Yeah.
You have little groups also. I understood that. To make them aware of the climate change.
Yeah, so we started this project a year ago, and it's a wish, but we also have to inspire the community to do their part. And we started as an example, and now showing everyone how they can do it in their own homes or do it for their families. And those were all small project groups for the women, for the men, and combined also. Also, we put on our website, we put a very easy walkthrough how you can become energy neutral, or get insights where you as a homeowner can become energy neutral. Think of the washing machine, or the kitchen.
That's true, and that's where that was made by we have an energy lab in the southeast, and we do that together with some universities, and we the municipality, AMS, and some universities, and we help these local initiatives, and the students also help them with making this tool that were from the Amsterdam.
From MADE.
They helped you with that, and so we try to combine all those stakeholders and do the energy transition on a social way together in the Amsterdam southeast. We can finish by this. This was our story. So and you have some more people that want to speak. So thank you for inviting us.
Okay, thank you very much, Anushka, Rizwan, and Matthijs. That was very inspiring to hear these initiatives that are really moving communities forward. And so I'd like to also say that On this same note of energy communities, energy cooperatives, we're very fortunate to have Sivard Sommer here, the cooperative director of Energy Samen. Energy Samen is a national organization for energy cooperatives in the Netherlands. Sivard, can you take it from here?
Yes, thank you for inviting us, and thank you for inviting us to become a sponsor. Coincidentally, I'm speaking from Amsterdam South-Oost. I don't think the people that know that that's where I live. So it's great to see that all these community initiatives around me. I'm cooperative director of Energy Samen. We are a cooperative of energy cooperatives. There are about 663 energy cooperatives in the Netherlands, and they have their own company, a cooperative. And I'm lucky to be able to lead that organization. We have 30 people working on the Dutch cooperative energy transition. And I always say my job is to complain to the Dutch government that it's not going well enough. But when I speak abroad, I can brag how good we are doing in the Netherlands. So, but in the Netherlands, we have the first, we are the first country in Europe to have a non-binding community energy target of 50% community ownership. And we have this in our climate agreement. And what happened there is that from there on, the Dutch government really racked up the support for energy communities. And what we see is that we are growing in productivity, but also in innovation, especially now when our Dutch grid is, I'm not sure if that's the Dutch translation, but beeping and squeaking because of all the solar and all the wind. You see that the innovation on a local level comes from these local initiatives. You saw it in the previous presentation. You can start small, test some things out in a local community, and then broaden it out. I would suggest all of you to read the book of Craig Morris on energy democracy. And there, the start of the energy democracy also started in these kind of communities. So I'm very pleased to be able to support this, especially prizes that give to innovative awards, social innovation, but also technical innovation. And anybody in other countries, I would support you to support your government and to suggest to your government not to only invest in technical innovation, but especially in social innovation in the energy transition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sivard. Thank you, Matthijs, Rizwan, Anushka, and thank you, Carol. That was a wonderful insight into the rich energy transformation landscape of Amsterdam and the Netherlands. And it sort of highlighted, epitomized what the European Solar Prize is all about. It's not just about this or that technological innovation. It's about its application in society, in industry, business, education, but also for the better of development around the world based on European initiatives. In a way, the European Solar Prize is our EUROSOLAR's gift to the European Green Deal, because we believe it can live with an increased focus and effort on 100% renewable energy for Europe across the entire continent as a foundation for climate stability. We do believe that renewable energy is climate neutral, but we don't believe that it's sufficient to aim at climate neutrality for Europe or any its country. It's climate positivity that we have to focus on. We have too much CO2 in the atmosphere. We have too much methane in the atmosphere to be climate neutral. And we can't wait for 2050. So we're focusing on these wonderful examples as the foundation for a transformation for Europe, economically, societally, but also in its places, in its industries, in its schools, in its cities. Cities indeed are the most important centers for this transformation, and so I'm delighted to hereby award the first of our awards today to a wonderful city in France. Congratulations, Paris. And I'm delighted to have someone here from the mayor and his mayor's office, and that's Dan Laird. Dan, welcome to the European Solar Prize, and thank you for graciously receiving the award. Dan, you also agreed to answer a few questions we might have for you and engage in this discussion. Introduce yourself for a few minutes, please.
Yes. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Dear President, Professor Peter Groger, dear jury members, I am Dan Laird, the Deputy Mayor of Paris, in charge of ecological transition, climate, water and energy, and President of the public water company Eau de Paris.
Thank you, Laird. Dan, this is really moving to see the extraordinary comprehension with which you integrate renewable energy and all the other aspects that are so important for not just quality of life in Paris and other cities, but also for a climate stable move forward, but also to allow people in the city to benefit from renewable energy, from its improved air quality, but also its financial prosperity. In your sense, what do you think the most successful programs are in renewable energy in Paris today?
First of all, I would like to thank you for this European Solar Prize for Paris Action. It is always an honor for our municipality to receive a distinction from European environmental associations. Your first question is very interesting because we've got in the same time many programs in Paris, but not as many as we would like. For example, we have two different solar plants we were created recently. One big solar plant, 12,000 meters squared on the water reservoir roof in the town of L'Île-les-Roses. It is a building from our public water company. And one little solar plant, 600 meters squared on a public sports building roof near the Eiffel Tower, developed with the Citizen Association, Regenerative, and the City of Paris. Two other examples of heat recovery. One heat recovery pump from wastewater pipes in the City Hall, district 11th district, and a school. This equipment provides about 50% of the heating for these buildings. And one geothermal pump from groundwater in the quarter of Clichy-Batignolles in the 17th district of Paris. This equipment provides 85% of the heating for 7,500 residents, inhabitants of Paris. In Paris, one of the most dense cities in the world, we need to adjust all the time the balance between free space, building, and other uses.
Well, thank you, Dan. You mentioned technologies, you mentioned projects, but you also mentioned the people of Paris. And how do people and businesses engage in these renewable energy projects? How do they make those their own?
As I say, we work with a young citizen association called Regenerative in order to develop solar plants on public building roofs. For now, we have just created about 15 solar plants with them, but we want to do much more. Other citizens associations like Énergie Partagée work in France to develop public and citizen renewable energy. This is a good way to tackle energy transition for more renewable energy and more local acceptation. We are working actually on other programs to develop more renewable energy in Paris with public and private companies like new partnership or tender process, but this work is not finished yet.
Well, thank you. EUROSOLAR believes and pushes really for our entire history for the idea of renewable cities, cities that provide their own energy source from their own local and regional resources. Can you imagine possibly one day Paris emerging as a fully renewable city?
It is already our goal with our climate plan in Paris, and we are already on the way, but we need to accelerate this ecological transition in order to secure our success. Renewable energy could be used by the whole city in 2050, but it can be produced only in Paris. We need to develop partnership with other cities and territories. We call that urban-rural partnerships, and we are working on that too. Of course, all citizens, public and private buildings will need to buy their electricity, gas, heat, and coal from renewable suppliers. I think we all know what improvements from suppliers are needed.
We are about to reach the end of 2021, and so we thought to offer you and award you with a prize not just for this year, but also for next year. So you have 12 months to enjoy the European Solar Prize of 2022. And with that, let me ask the final question. What are your special wishes for 2022 and the Renewable Paris?
Of course, make the ecological transition a reality now and for all of us. Considering energy, maybe 3 goals in 2022, a global decrease of energy consumption, intensifying the struggle against energy poverty in Paris, and developing new renewable plants faster in Paris and nearby. These wishes are merely samples and needs to be continued for many years. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dan, and thank you for being with us, and congratulations again for the European Solar Prize 21-22
Thank you very much.
to you and the city of Paris. And I'm also delighted now to focus for another prize winner. Our next prize winner in the European Solar Prize in the cities category. And that is another wonderful capital of Europe, and this time in Germany. Congratulations, Municipal Utility of Berlin, for the European Solar Prize 2021-2022 in this very important category, awarded to you as one of the youngest and most dynamic public utilities in the country. I have with me today Julian Silberman and Dr. Kerstin Busch from this exciting enterprise. And I would like you to hereby be welcomed. Congratulations. And would you please introduce yourself very briefly to the audience?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Dröger. Next to me, as you said, is Mr. Silberman. He can introduce himself, but I'm Kerstin Busch. I'm one of the 2 general managers of the Berliner Stadtwerke. We are 100% public utility, as you mentioned already. And from the past, we have really an interesting history, because we were founded several years ago by a referendum. So the Berliners are really the ones who initiated and supported the founding of this company. And so the prize, from our perspective, should be awarded to all Berliners. And we already got the prize. Let me show it. It's a really, really lovely prize. It's quite heavy, though. But this is Mr. Silberman. He can introduce himself.
Yes, hello. My name is Julian Silberman. I'm head of engineering solutions and renewable energies. Yes, I'm very proud to get this prize for the Berliner Stadtwerks.
Thank you very much. It's a unique mission you have. Working for is essentially for the districts of Berlin, but perhaps, correct me if I'm wrong, active in 3 areas. One is solar, renewable energy, electricity for tenants, for people that rent, and most people rent in Berlin, like in many other European cities. Secondly, to provide green power, but also to run special projects. Could you just, for a few minutes or seconds, if you will, elaborate a little bit on these 3 areas of activity and how you measure success?
You're right. Yeah, we are actually divided into 3 departments. We have, next to solar, where we have also contracts, especially with districts and tenants. We concentrate on local area support. So we also produce renewable heat, and with the local network there. And then the third one is that really we are investing in wind plants too. So for the CO2 balance of the Berlin city as such, of course, the wind is an extraordinary part. Compared to PV, the amount of CO2 emissions reduction is of course, more efficient by wind farms. So let me give you a number to compare with PV plants. We have achieved right now about 20 megawatts in the last couple of years, I would say 4 years. And with our windmills, we have 13 windmills as such. We have a capacity of 50 megawatts. So from that point of view, we can also provide green energy to the Berliners only by these plants. But of course, this is only going into the grid, as you know, the German system. But we are very focused on getting more local, of course, green energy into town, which mainly is due to our public and political aim.
Well, speaking of public and political, let me ask you, how does the public and the body politic respond to your work? What feedback do you get? And do you get criticism? Do you get inspiration? Do you keep a close ear on what people think about what you do?
Oh, no, we got a quite positive reaction from all over, I must say. And we are very proud of that as well, because the Berlin Senate, for example, is supporting our path with 2 new state laws, which were enacted in 2021. The PV systems are to be installed on all public buildings in the city by the end of 2024, which also underlines our mission, I would say.
Okay. Well, it's wonderful. This award goes to 21 and 22. It's in a way, kind of a Christmas gift in that sense. But if you had one wish that perhaps is not in your corporate plan for next year, but that would really make you happy about what you do, your work, what would that be for 2022, looking forward?
Looking forward, it's like a crystal ball here. You can see this as in the prize as well. Would be to get rid of the hurdles, actually, because we could do far more if we would have less hurdles. For example, these complicated systems on, as you mentioned already, the generation on tenant buildings that could be really faster and much more efficient. We have a real challenge in front of us. We shall really increase the share of solar energy from 1 to 25% in just 14 years. So to accelerate next year, 2022, should be the start.
Well, I hope your wish comes true, and we will do everything we can. And it's, of course, EUROSOLAR's mission to help make that possible through our political work and also to the work of our members. Congratulations, Dr. Busch. Congratulations, Julian Silberman, for receiving this award on behalf of the Municipal Utility Company of Berlin.
Thank you very much, and we're very happy and proud and honored about this beautiful award.
Thank you. Thank you. And now I've got the honor to turn to yet another European capital and a project in the very important category of architecture and the built environment. It's a building group, a setting in Austria.
Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, einen schönen guten Tag aus Wien. Mein Name ist Heinrich Kugler, ich bin Vorstand in der Wien 3420 Aspern Development AG, das ist die Entwicklungsgesellschaft für die Seestadt Aspern. Ich spreche hier für die Stadt Wien, die den Bildungscampus betreibt, für die Bundesimmobiliengesellschaft, die Bauherr und Eigentümer des Gebäudes ist, die Aspern Smart City Research GmbH, die das Energiesystem des Gebäudes maßgeblich entwickelt hat und das Monitoring für das Energiesystem betreibt, und für meine Gesellschaft, die Wien 3420 AG. Ich darf Ihnen heute das Gebäude, welches hier vom European Solar Prize ausgezeichnet wurde, vorstellen. Der Bildungscampus Seestadt Aspern bildet 700 Kinder aus, welche sich in einer Volksschule für Kinder zwischen 6 und 10 Jahren, in einem Kindergarten für die Betreuung der Vorschulkinder sowie in einer Sonderpädagogik befinden. Er ist Teil eines Bildungsquartiers. Das Bildungsquartier setzt sich zusammen eben aus dem Bildungscampus Seestadt Aspern, aus der allgemeinbildenden höheren Schule ein Gymnasium für Kinder zwischen 11 und 18 Jahren sowie einem Zentralberufsschulgebäude für berufsbildende Weiterbildung und Ausbildung, welches sich derzeit gerade in Planung befindet. Dieses Bildungsquartier ist Teil eines Stadtquartiers, welches wir Quartier am Hannah-Arendt-Park bezeichnen. Dieses wurde von der Republik Österreich mit dem Staatspreis für Architektur und Nachhaltigkeit ausgezeichnet. Ja, und dieses Quartier befindet sich wieder in der Seestadt Aspern, einem innovativen Stadtteil, welchen wir entwickeln für 25.000 Einwohner und bis zu 20.000 Arbeits- und Ausbildungsplätzen, einem innovativen Stadtteil, einem Vorzeigeprojekt, wo wir verschiedene städtebauliche Ideen umzusetzen versuchen, eine Stadt der Zukunft, welche auch eine Vorbildfunktion für andere Stadterweiterungsgebiete in Wien, national und international darstellen soll. Der Bildungscampus wurde 2015 eröffnet und ist 2011 aus einem Wettbewerbsverfahren, aus einem Architekturwettbewerbsverfahren als Siegerprojekt hervorgegangen. Sieger war das Architekturbüro Zinkerl aus Graz. Städtebaulich bildet das Schulgebäude eine Kante zum nördlich angrenzenden Hannah-Arendt-Park und südlich treibt sich das Gebäude zu den großzügigen Frei- und Sportflächen ab. Der Bildungscampus Seestadt ist ein wärmeautarkes Gebäude. Die Wärmeversorgung speist sich aus mehreren Quellen. Das ist einerseits die Solarpaneele am Dach, welche ca. 90 Kilowatt beisteuern. Es wird das Grundwasser genutzt über Wärmepumpen und die Abwärme, welche von den 700 Kindern und den Lehrkräften produziert wird, wird genutzt. Das Gebäude ist selbstverständlich mit einer mechanischen B- und Entlüftung ausgestattet. Die Stromversorgung des Gebäudes wird über Solarpaneele, welche sich auf den großzügigen Dachflächen befinden und ca. 58 Kilowatt beisteuern, unterstützt. Im Sommer erfolgt die Kühlung des Gebäudes ebenfalls über das Grundwasser. Das Energiesystem des Bildungscampus Aspern-Seestadt wird von Aspern Smart City Research gemonitort. Die Ergebnisse werden im Rahmen des Forschungsprogramms für die Weiterentwicklung von Energiesystemen, von innovativen Gebäuden im Rahmen der Smart City Strategie der Stadt Wien verwendet. Das Gebäude wurde vom österreichischen Standard klimaaktiv bewertet. Das Gebäude ist zertifiziert und hat 900 Punkte von 1000, also Klimaaktivstandard Gold erreicht. Vielen Dank für die Auszeichnung und schöne Grüße nach Amsterdam.
Well, congratulations, City of Vienna and Seestadt Aspern Development Corporation for this wonderful project and the European Solar Prize that goes in the category of architecture and built environment to you. And we're all delighted to not only see the innovative renewable energy technology that went into this building, the efficiency systems, but also the CO2 positive building materials, but particularly that a campus, an educational environment was chosen to be the tenant, so to speak, the user of this entity, because together with the building, it forms a three-dimensional, dynamic, living environment from which to learn on how our future cities and our environments should all be constructed indeed. And here we depend on city governance, we depend on developers, we depend on private companies to lead the way. Congratulations, Vienna and Seestadt Development Corporation, Aspern Development Corporation. We use this opportunity to award the prize in industries and companies in the category of the European Solar Prize that is perhaps most central to moving the needle, to moving the action forwards, and that's in the financial industry. And for this, we move to the wonderful country of Switzerland and one of its major centers for this kind of activity. Congratulations for the European Solar Prize 2021 and 22 to SUSI Partners and its innovative work in renewable energy realization and finance. And and its CEO and founder of many years, Tobias Reichmuth. We're particularly delighted and honored to have Dr. Reichmuth here with us to receive that prize. Dear Dr. Reichmuth, would you spend a couple of minutes introducing yourself, please?
With great pleasure. Thank you very much, Peter. It's a great honor for us to receive it. I'm very happy to receive the prize on behalf of SUSI Partners. I'm today the chairman of the board and no longer the CEO. I have founded the company in 2009 and led it 10 years as the CEO. I think what we went through was from the beginning on a lot of challenges. The challenges at the beginning were how to mobilize capital. Today, when you talk about ESG, pension funds, asset managers, insurance managers, they basically jump on you and have a lot of capital ready. In 2009, that was quite a bit different, and we had to clean a lot of door handles in order to get enough capital to finance our projects. Today, we manage a bit more than 1.8 billion Swiss francs, and we grow very fast. So I think, it has been worth it to start early. We also said from the beginning on that investing in renewable energy is not the holy grail alone. So we started the first energy efficiency fund in Europe. Today, we are already launching the third energy efficiency fund where we use a contracting model to basically finance projects off balance sheets for both public and private infrastructure owners. We also initiated the first energy storage fund in 2016, I think. And today we are a global active platform, both equity and debt, to finance energy transition infrastructure. And I believe much more capital has to go in this sector. So luckily, it's not only us working on that. But I think with receiving this prize, it's a further good signal to investors and project partners alike to work with us and others in order to make this energy transition happen. And with this, I would like to thank you very much for the prize. Much appreciated.
Well, thank you very much, Tobias. And I would like to ask you, how do you see the role of SUSI as a model for others, or let's say the financial industry as a whole, to become a much more focused and dynamic driver of energy transformation? And also perhaps related to that question, where do you see the hurdles or barriers for a much more focused and consistent application of financial instruments for this kind of energy transformation, be it in efficiency, storage, or other aspects of the renewable energy infrastructure?
Yeah, look, the challenge, I think, is that still some asset owners proudly tell you that they invest 10% of their assets responsibly. And whenever I hear this, I have to ask, well, the other 90% you invest irresponsibly. So I think, when you want to be an ESG investor, you have no way around than to invest 100% of your assets in a responsible ESG manner. Yeah? And that's a bit what we tell investors, that it's possible. It's possible to generate very good returns. When we look at our funds, depending whether it's a debt structure or an equity structure, we are between 5 and 14%. And this since now 12 years. So you can make money with really being a responsible investor here. And, to the first part of your question, I believe that we have to copy our model for the emerging markets, and third world. I mean, there is no way that Africa is following the example of, let's say, China, first going into a large scale fossil fuel energy production. And so there you have to do the frog leap. Yeah. So I think a lot of capital has to be now directed to those countries which do not yet have a significant energy infrastructure, and from the beginning on build a 100% clean energy infrastructure there. This is possible, but we have to motivate the capital, and we see ourselves maybe a bit as a trailblazer in showing what instruments are available and how it can be done.
Well, you mentioned the activity in the emerging markets, and you mentioned the energy infrastructure. What about the institutional infrastructure or the community infrastructure? Do you see a role to be played here by an emerging awareness in the institutional environment for the uptake of renewable energy-oriented finance in Africa and other developing countries?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it has to go via the municipalities and so on. The challenge is that very often decisions makers cannot really decide for large chunks of projects. I mean, we see this with our energy efficiency initiative. Very often we are able to, help renovating a part of a city, some of the streetlights, but not all of them. And, any city in the world who has not yet installed LED streetlights should do this now, and the money is available. So if you want $1 billion from us, no problem. If you want 10 billion from us for energy efficient streetlights, no problem. The money is available. Our investors are ready. But very often these municipalities think, in my eyes, a bit too small. They do some lighthouse projects instead of doing just all of it together. So that's one of the hurdles. The other hurdle definitely is that asset owners have, let's say, invested in infrastructure project years ago, and they are not yet written off, and they are fossil fuel based, and they don't want to basically shut them down before they're not written off. And we don't have the time to wait for that. So these are the challenges.
Well, thank you very much. And again, congratulations to receiving this award for this year, but also next. We are about to reach 2022. And if you, in closing, would like to utter a wish, so to speak, something you haven't mentioned yet, that if it came true would make your day for the work of Susie and others like it, what would it be?
Well, this is the wish probably every one of us has here. If we would have a global CO2 tax, a global emission price, no exceptions, then we would have won the battle against climate change. Do I see this happening? Very slowly. I mean, at least the CO2 price is going up again now. But that would be my wish, a globally valid CO2 tax with no exceptions.
Well, thank you. On that note, your wish is granted, at least as far as we're concerned and as far as we can help that wish to come true. Thank you very much again, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, in the category of local and regional associations, we're moving now to our host country and award the European Solar Prize 2021-22 to a wonderful initiative in the Netherlands. I would like to welcome a wonderful initiative, Thuisbaas, focused on the transformation of the Dutch households and businesses from natural gas. You know how dangerous and problematic CH4 methane is to renewables. And I'm absolutely delighted to have with us here Marianne Minisma, who is going to make a brief, presentation about your project. Is that correct?
Yes, if I can share my screen, then I would very much like to tell something about our Thuisbaas initiative. So let's see if that works. Can you see the screen by now? Okay. Well, at first, thank you very much. We are very honored by the prize, and my colleagues who have been working for more than 8 years on making hundreds of houses energy neutral are also very happy, and the recognition that people see this not only in the Netherlands but also abroad is to them a very big strength, and they are very happy. And some of them are also looking at the live stream at the moment. Maybe tell you a little bit about our project and who we started. I'm both the director of Urgenda and of Thuisbaas. Urgenda is an NGO in the Netherlands that wants to make the Netherlands as sustainable as quickly as possible. And we started in 2010 with the first collective buying initiative. And according to the Chinese partners, it was the first in Europe. We bought on behalf of thousands of people 500,000 solar panels, which was at that time 10 megawatts. And because we did this collectively, we could bring the price down at that moment compared to the prices at the market at that time with 1/3. And we gave all those people solar panels and inverters and material to bring it to the roofs. And we had a website with hundreds of technical people which could help them to put it on the roof. And you can see here that at that time, when we started, there were hardly any solar panels on our roofs. And since that, we have had a great, I would say almost exponential growth, which I very much like. But at that time when we started, this was really new. And after we did this, we made an analysis like, well, we do want a lot of solar panels on the roofs, but we also want that people stop with using gas for heating and for taking a shower and so on. So how can we make the house energy neutral or even energy positive? You would need a lot of solar panels, but you also need to do other things. And we looked at the Netherlands situation, and we have a lot of people that have those houses in a row, but also a lot of people two under one shared room or single houses. And those are the houses that also use most energy. So we thought if we start with these private persons that use a lot of energy, how can we help them to make their house energy neutral? When will they really want that? And we thought, well, most people would probably not mind if they get help. So if they don't have a lot of fuss around it, and if their cost per month will not go up. So we made an analysis. And we looked, well, what do people with an average house in the Netherlands spend on energy in the next 15 years? And that appeared to be 35,000 euros. So that's money that you normally throw away to an energy company. And we thought if you can bring this money up front and help people to make the house energy neutral for that amount, and suppose that they have to borrow it completely, then they can pay it back in 15 years' time for the same amount that they used to pay on energy, because they don't have an energy bill anymore. And instead of that, they pay back for the investments they have made to make their house energy neutral. And when we started in 2012, people thought that this was not possible. And we started with a lot of different houses, and we learned a lot. Also that a lot of manufacturers, for example, of heat pumps, give you stories that are not correct because they don't perform as good in a real household as they do maybe in their factory. So we learned a lot over the years, but I can say that now after 8 years, we have made hundreds of houses energy neutral for roughly the amount that people spend on energy in 15 years time. So we have been able to give people houses without an energy bill. And if they did not have any money of themselves and they borrowed the amount, they could do that and have the same amount on cost for their house as they had before. So no higher cost. And we would help them to do this. We would make a plan. And if I say on average, if you really want to make a house energy neutral in the Netherlands, then you would need roughly between 20 and 22 solar panels. In the beginning, if we would have a person that wanted an energy neutral house and they could fit only 16 panels, we would say, then we don't do you. But now we say, okay, if you can have only 16, then the rest you should pay your electricity from a green energy company. And in very many cases, we give people a so-called water-air heat pump, but we also do air-air, we do also water-water. So we have tried everything over the last 8 years, but for most people, the most both energy efficient and affordable option is this air water heat pump for heating and hot water. They get some new radiators because this is a system with lower temperatures in the water system, or they do floor heating, but it's not necessary. We tell them to cook on induction, and then on average, they spend this amount. And we help them, and we do this within roughly a week. So if we start on Monday, then Monday the next week, we can be ready. And people don't have to move to a holiday park or something. They can stay in their house. And we do everything that's necessary to make this happen. And we see that more and more people in the Netherlands are now looking at these solutions. This is also, of course, fed by the current gas prices, which are extremely high at the moment. And the energy, monthly energy prices for people have doubled. And we started with a lot of those private persons. So you see just a few houses, but we have done all kinds of different houses. And with the current gas prices, the energy payback time or the payback time is only 8 years, whereas we have laid it out on 15 years. I don't expect that the gas price will stay as high as it is now, but with the higher prices, it's more and more affordable for people. And once we did hundreds of these houses, then the companies came to us, which do the tenants, the housing corporations, and they asked us, can you help us too? Because if you can do it for 35,000 euros, and by now we can even do it for a lower price, then that is for our tenants also very attractive. And you can see here a director of a housing corporation with 4 tenants. We made their houses energy neutral, which meant that they had 120 euros less energy costs. And the housing corporation only asked them 50 euros additional rent. So from month 1 onwards, they had 17 euros left over, which is for tenants a very high amount. And therefore, more and more tenants wrote a letter to the director, when can we be energy neutral? And they are now doing hundreds of houses this year and want to scale up. So I hope that we can continue to do this, and our initiative Thuisbaas is growing. We are also helping people that want to do this. So we are also giving lectures and we do workshops and so on, because we don't want to keep this to ourselves. We also help energy cooperatives to do this, and we give lectures to them. So we try to spread the word and the knowledge that we have gained over the last 8 years to a lot of other groups of people, so they can help to make more houses energy neutral as soon as possible, because we all know that we need to stay below 1.5 degrees warming, and we are not on track yet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marianne and Marianne Minisma. You answered all my questions. I don't know what to really ask, but except to invite you just very briefly for a few seconds, if you will, introduce yourself very briefly, who you are and how you got to get involved in this extraordinarily complex but also rewarding initiative.
Yeah, well, I'm the director of Urgenda. Some people might know Urgenda because we won the first climate case against the Dutch government until the highest court, the Supreme Court in the Netherlands. But 95% of our work is about solutions. Before I started Urgenda, I was director of the Institute for Transition at the Erasmus University. And we had 40 PhD students, which all wrote books. And I asked my colleague, Professor Rotmans, nice, all those books, but what do we really change in practice? And that was how Urgenda started, using scientific knowledge to make change in real life. And out of those projects, we started with Thuisbaas, the initiative that you are rewarding today. But we have also, for example, brought the first electrical vehicle in 2008 already to the Netherlands. That was a vehicle that was 95% made of circular material, kind of hard plastic, if I say it a bit strange. But it was on full-on batteries. And it could drive 180 kilometers on a full battery already in 2008. And that started off in the Netherlands, building of charging stations and things like that. So we very much try on the first instance to show that things are already possible when others think it's not possible yet. And making houses energy neutral for roughly 35,000 euros, which we started in 2012, was also something that people thought was impossible because the market at that time was doing it for 80,000 euros. And that's an amount that people will never pay for making a house energy neutral. So we try to find ways to make the Netherlands more sustainable as quickly as possible, but also in an affordable way. And we help people and businesses to make the change, so make it as easy as possible.
Well, thank you very much, Marianne, and congratulations to Thuisbaas and yourself, of course, for receiving the European Solar Prize in 2021 and 2022. Congratulations again, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Now, Marianne referred to an area which is very dear and familiar to owners and operators of installations, infrastructure, buildings, and other assets. And I'm absolutely delighted to now move in this category, owners and operators, to Denmark.
The biggest risk of climate change is a perception that somebody else is going to solve it for us.
There's a learning around once you have found a technology or a business or a product where you have some competitive differentiation and there is a growth opportunity, you should go all in.
We needed to change, and we needed to be at the forefront of change to avoid being left behind with a dying technology.
The only way of doing this economically was to do it at scale.
If you get the right momentum in the organization, you can do much more than what you could imagine.
Many visions are really about the company would like to be this or that. But it's not about the company. It's about what the company can do, what the company can contribute to a more sustainable world.
Well, congratulations to this wonderful company of Ørsted, and I'm particularly delighted to have with us Ida Krabek from Ørsted. Congratulations, Ida, and congratulations for getting the award for 2021 and 2022. Would you please introduce yourself very briefly?
Yes, and thank you so much for awarding us this prize that we are very, very honored to achieve. My name is Ida Krabek, as you said, and I'm head of our global sustainability department in Ørsted.
Thank you very much. And just spend a bit like a historian, talk about that moment at which Ørsted, the new Ørsted, was formed and the old was, the fossil age was left behind. What prompted, what was that pivotal moment in time?
Yeah, I think it was actually sort of a window of opportunity, or a perfect storm, where we could see pressure from different sides back a bit more than a decade ago, both that really led our legacy business, the traditional energy business, to be under pressure. Both coming from the regulation of the EU markets on energy, coming from the increased focus, both regulation-wise and also really from the public on climate, and there was sort of worry around climate change and fossil-based energy, and sort of that all of these pressures coming from around us led us to the acknowledgement that a future-proof energy company, both sustainably and financially, had to be a green energy company. So back in 2009, we actually took the decision to change our company from an 85% fossil share in our energy generation and that was back in 2019, to have an 85% green share in 2040. And that was, back then, seemed like a moonshot target, but we actually achieved that 85% renewable energy generation already back in 2019. And we are continuing the decarbonization of our company, both in energy generation and operations, towards becoming carbon neutral in 2025. And that gives us a 98% reduction in our carbon emissions in the company. And then we've also set a target to have a full net zero value chain by 2040. And we're really, really honored to be the first energy company globally and one of only 7 companies across sectors to have that target approved by the Science Based Targets Initiative as aligned with what the world needs to deliver to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees, which is really what we as a world has to succeed with to avoid catastrophic and uncontrollable consequences of climate change.
Well, you're very aware of the risks, and you're also aware of what Ørsted can achieve. And I understand you're really focusing on scale, or increasing the scale of your impact. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you quantify it and how that fits into your strategic planning forward?
Yeah, so I can say that with 73% of global emissions coming from the production and use of energy, renewable energy really holds the key to this, to limiting global warming. And in Ørsted, our vision is a world that runs entirely on green energy, and that is really what we go to work every day to help achieve, just as many other great people on this call have also talked about. It's been really inspiring to see how that transition takes place across Europe, really, which is also what this prize is about. And in Ørsted, we're the global leader in offshore wind. We have 30 years of experience, and we have built more offshore wind and have more in the pipeline than any of our energy competitors. And that technology really holds a great potential for transforming European energy systems. It's a cornerstone in that transition, but not the only technology that we need. And in Ørsted, we're also building our business in onshore, both wind and solar, but also some of the technologies that are really needed to fully decarbonize our society. So technologies like green hydrogen, which is needed to decarbonize sectors that are really difficult to, where it's really difficult to get rid of emissions, such as heavy industry and transportation. And our target is to scale our green energy business towards 50 gigawatt in 2050, and that's really a massive, a very ambitious target that we are focused on delivering across the company.
Well, you're Danish. You're speaking to us from Denmark, and Denmark is already more known as probably the pioneering country in wind power, particularly onshore initially, but also community-owned power. And you speak of offshore, and that's not really known to be community-owned. We at EUROSOLAR, of course, fight for distributed renewable energy for all, and particularly the stake that local communities and but also normal stakeholders have in the energy future. What is Ørsted doing that, particularly its large-scale operations, can also be accessed in terms of prosperity opportunities, but also controlled by ordinary Danish folk, but also international constituents of this kind of change in our industry and our society?
Yeah, so I think two answers to that, or maybe three. I think we need that decarbonization and transition of energy systems, both at small and large scale, to succeed with the speed that we have to deliver, and the rapid scale of green energy that needs to be delivered over the next decade, to align with science requirements. In Ørsted, we are majority owned by the Danish state. So sort of the benefits of the company goes to our shareholders at large, but also the Danish public. And then I'd like to say that wherever we build large infrastructure projects, because an offshore wind farm is a large infrastructure project, we are very, very focused on making sure that those infrastructure projects create shared benefits with local communities, because the whole green transformation is really a massive undertaking, and it holds the potential to be a positive force for change, both on nature, but also, as I said, on local economies and communities, where it can really bring jobs and revitalization of communities, and especially in areas where that have over the past decades seen decline in traditional marine industries. And in that way, we really seek to deliver our projects in close cooperation with local communities to make sure that we also, through our projects, contribute to that shared benefit with the communities that we operate in.
All right, my final question to you is, with 2022 coming up and the knowledge that you can enjoy the prize for the coming year as well, what is your wish, if you had one wish that you haven't mentioned yet, that would make your life easier and even more rewarding at Ørsted, looking at that new year?
I think there are many challenges ahead to enabling this full green transformation of societies that we need. I think one of our huge focus areas in Ørsted is to make sure that this green build-out happens in balance with nature, because the climate crisis is not the only global crisis that we have to deal with over the next decade. We've seen 70% decline in animal species over the past 50 years. So we really have to make sure that green energy build out across the globe takes place in balance with nature. And we set ourselves a target that from 2030 at the latest, all the energy projects we commission need to deliver a net positive impact on nature and biodiversity. And that's really a difficult journey we have ahead. And if I could sort of come up with one wish for the coming year, it would really be that we, together with others, manage to establish a common understanding of how do you really measure and account for a net positive biodiversity impact in the marine environment, because I think that's really crucial to have that set standard to figure out what is enough, what does good look like, and that's a key enabler to deliver that net positive biodiversity impact together with green energy projects over the next decade.
Well, that's a wonderful, intelligent note and wish to end this conversation. I'm sorry this has to be over. We have only to thank you and Ørsted for working with us to receive and hold this European Solar Prize for 21 and 22. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And we're very delighted to receive the award. Thank you.
Well, now we have the great pleasure and delight of movement ahead of us, moving through the landscape, moving into the future, and celebrating the European Solar Prize for Transport and Mobility. And for that, we move into the wonderful mountainous country of Switzerland.
Die Macklingenbahn ist eine Pendelbahn, das heißt, an einem Seil hängt an jedem Ende ein Wagen. In dem Moment, wenn zum Beispiel der obere Wagen ins Tal runterfährt, fährt gleichzeitig der untere Wagen Richtung Berg.
Gemeinsam mit unserem Partner der Hochschule Luzern ist es uns gelungen, ein einzigartiges Energiemanagementkonzept zu entwickeln. Wir rekuperieren Energie beim Bremsen und nutzen ebenfalls auch Solarenergie. Damit decken wir ca. 30% unseres gesamten Energieverbrauchs für die Bahn. Wir sind unheimlich stolz, dass wir diesen Preis, den European Solar Prize 21, gewonnen haben und dafür nominiert worden zu sein. Wirklich vielen Dank. Wir sind stolz und ich bin stolz auf das ganze Team, dass wir das erreicht haben.
La durabilité et la protection du climat font partie de l'ADN de la ville de Bienne. Ça fait depuis plusieurs années que nous avons obtenu le label Or de la Cité de l'énergie et nous en sommes fiers. Bien sûr, sur le chemin de la durabilité, les entreprises municipales telles que les transports publics doivent aussi contribuer. Wir haben bereits unsere Trolleybusflotte, die das Rückgrat des öffentlichen Verkehrs in der Stadt Biel darstellt, welche mit 100% erneuerbarem Strom unterwegs ist. Die Reise geht aber immer weiter, die Arbeit geht immer weiter und deshalb freue ich mich sehr, dass wir nun mit einem innovativen Projekt bei der Macklingenbahn den europäischen Solarpreis gewonnen haben.
Ce nouveau système de gestion de l'énergie pour les systèmes de transport à câble permet d'utiliser les énergies renouvelables de manière efficace. De plus, il permet de stocker localement l'énergie de freinage due au poids propre du câble. Durant la première année d'exploitation, environ 80% de l'énergie produite, soit par les panneaux solaires, soit par le poids propre du câble, peut être réutilisé pour la prochaine course. Grâce à ce système de stockage de l'énergie et à sa gestion innovante, les coûts énergétiques de l'installation peuvent être réduits de 30%. À cette occasion, j'aimerais relever la bonne collaboration avec l'équipe du funiculaire des transports publics de Bienne.
In the critical area of transport and mobility, congratulations to the city and the public transport enterprise of Biel for the European Solar Prize of 2021 and 2022. And we're particularly honored to have the city president, the Stadtpräsident, the mayor of Biel with us, Erich Fehr. Mr. Fehr, could you just introduce yourself very briefly?
Yeah, hello everybody from Switzerland. We are very proud and very happy to have won the European Solar Prize 21-22 in the category of transportation and mobility. And I am the mayor of the city of Biel for more than 10 years and the president of our public transportation company for more than 6 years, and also very involved in public transportation questions in Switzerland. So I'm very, very happy, not only for my city, for my company, but only for myself and with my interests to have got this prize.
Thank you, Erich. Thank you, Mr. Fehr. Can you just perhaps speak very briefly about the model impact or the role this project plays as a concept for other parts of public transport in Biel and other cities in Switzerland and elsewhere?
I think that the system for a funicular railroad is something you see a lot of time in Switzerland. Switzerland, you said it in the introduction, is a country of mountains. And so we have a lot of funicular railroads. And so I think there's at a lot of times the possibility to put solar panels on the buildings. Here it's the building at the top station, and also to use the braking energy to make moving your railroad. I think this system has been realized for a first time in Biel with the Macklingenbahn, but it could be. You can make a copy, I think, at a lot of similar railroads. And I think also in other countries, you find also funicular railroads, not only in Austria, which is another European country with mountains, but also sometimes in cities for city transportation. So I think our project could be used also in other countries and other cities. And the second reflection I would make at this moment is always, if you have to make to change something, to repair something with your transportation system, so always think, could we do it more innovative, more modern? Can we contribute to protect climate with what we are doing? And the answer is the most of the time yes, but you have to find your own way. So it's also a project that could make people thinking about what could they do more to protect climate and environment.
Thank you very much. What role does this project play, let's say, as a initiative, as a climate initiative, but also as a renewable transport initiative in the city as a whole? I mean, can you just briefly talk about what impact or significance it has in Biel in general?
I think we have two funicular railroads in our city. This technology we used now as a first time, but we are also looking to change our buses in the city that are still ruling with diesel to go to other modes of traction. And so it's a sign to everybody: make attention. Look for modern transportation systems, look for modern traction possibilities. And I think the Macklingenbahn, this funicular railroad we are talking about, will also get public attention in whole Switzerland and also in other countries, because it's the railroad to the Federal Office of Sports, to Macklingen, where is the center of Swiss sports, and where also a lot of sportsmen and sportswomen from other countries are coming for training and for competition.
Well, with the end of the year coming up, and Christmas for some of us and other celebrations for others, looking at 2022, when the award will kick in for Biel and your organization, what is your most important wish? What will really make you happy, and the initiatives that you represent?
It's very easy. No more Corona. We have, I think everybody of us is now tired from Corona. I think that's the important thing. But the second message I would give to everybody is, even if Corona is still here, one day it will be away. We have to continue our way, and that's our way to protect our climate, to protect our planet. And so let not stop from Corona, but follow the way. Will come better days.
Thank you very much, Erich Fehr, and congratulations to the European Solar Prize, to your association and your own work and that of your team for 21 and 22. Thank you and congratulations, and goodbye.
Thank you very much, and goodbye, and congratulations to my team. Bye-bye.
Now, all of these initiatives have a real important impact, but they're really important for our enlightenment, for learning, for education, for moving forward, for understanding both structured and unstructured. And so I'm particularly happy to move in this particular area of education and vocational training to an organization which is probably premier in this field in Europe. And for that, we move right across the Alps to Italy.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Treu. I'm Vice Head of the EUROSOLAR Research Institute for Renewable Energies, and I'm responsible for the research group on energy retrofit in historic buildings. Founded in 1992, EUROSOLAR Research is a private research institute in Bolzano, in the middle of the Alps. We believe that everything is interconnected. That's why we foster the integration of heat, electricity, and mobility to optimize the use of renewable energy and to accelerate the transformation towards a more sustainable energy system. However, moving away from fossil sources will not be possible if we do not reduce our energy demand. These are our labs. This is where we perform tests on heat pumps and PV modules, measure the thermal properties of building components, and find new ways to make buildings more energy efficient and comfortable. Making the world more sustainable is our mission. Over the past 8 years, we have contributed directly to the renovation of more than 50 buildings and paved the way for many more renovations. Since a quarter of Europe's building stock was built before the Second World War, we are constantly looking for new ways to preserve their historic and aesthetic values and at the same time reduce the energy demand and enhance the comfort. The Hyber Atlas was created to inspire architects and owners and to give them practical advice on how to retrofit historic buildings. Like this. Help us enrich our database and encourage others to retrofit traditional architecture by visiting our website and getting in contact.
Congratulations to the Institute for Renewable Energy at EUROC in Bolzano and the Hyber Atlas for renewably historic buildings. And thank you very much, Dr. Alexander Troy, for being with us today. And I think you're also with Daniel Herrera here to just have a short conversation about your work and where you see it go in the context of the European Solar Prize 21-22. Could you briefly introduce yourselves, please?
Thank you very much. We were really surprised that we got the prize and felt very honored. Unfortunately, today I'm here alone. Daniel finally could not participate because he's on parental leave, which actually is something I really support. I think that's a different aspect from our society growing the responsibility fathers take over in their family life. But I still feel that if I'm standing here and getting this prize for our work, it's the work of a big team. Within EUROC, my colleagues Daniel Herrera, Franziska Haas, Dagmar Exner, who have contributed, but also the partners in the two projects, the IEA SHC Task 59, the Interreg Alpine Space Project Atlas, really shaped and filled the Hyber Atlas together with us. And since we got the prize, not just for the Hyber Atlas, but also for the more general work in terms of education as EUROC does, I think I would like to include all the colleagues as team. Yeah, we were 15 years ago. We are around 130 researchers today who are doing, I'd call it the very applied research, which has always in mind bringing it out to the practitioners, to the users, to the industries who can afterwards implement it, can make it reality. it's a lot about discussing, about idea exchanging, about explaining, learning, inspiring. I think that's one of the main things in the Hyper Atlas. It's a lot about dialogue, I think, about, talking to each other.
Yeah, Alexandra, and this is most inspiring, particularly the work you do at the intersection of research, of public engagement, of commercial interests, but also of the idea of teaching. Can you tell us a little bit more about just that little trajectory of research, action, learning, but also engaging in education?
Mm-hmm. I think in most of our projects, we do have all the aspects in. If I think about the projects which Roberto Lollini has on facades, where they work first in research projects, maybe then in demonstration projects on facade systems, on possibilities to integrate renewables in a retrofit option and so on. And his initiative with the facade training course, where each second year, I think, a number of young professionals come work together with enterprises, with the support of EUREX researchers, and kick off, by at the same time learning small innovative development ideas. If I might bring a second example, which is actually connected to the Hyper Atlas, is I'm teaching now at Coburg University at the campus of design, and I use the Hyper Atlas, or the work with the Hyper Atlas, to teach young architects in energy retrofit of historic buildings, because it is structured in a way that it lets also students understand what is a good approach to such a retrofit. They work together with an architect, they understand the building, they introduce it, and therefore kind of learn themselves, plus document a case which is afterwards inspiring for others.
Well, thank you very much. And I wanted to just reflect on the time we are spent together in this climate change, climate transformation, this dramatic shift that we're all trying to work against, try to halt. And if you could just spend just a few minutes reflecting on what it's like to work at EUREX, which on the one hand has been built around one of the great fossils that were discovered by the melting of glaciers in the Alps, to other disciplines combined in Europe, but also the extraordinary disciplinary range at the Institute for Renewable Energy that's so young and that has so many young professional colleagues, yourselves, and Dr. Wolfram Sparber has been so instrumental in shaping this organization. Where do you see it go? Now looking at 2022, what is your own best wish for yourself and the organization, if it came true, would really make your day?
For me and the organization, it is super inspiring to work at EUREX. What you see in the back is actually the offices where I'm living. So can imagine me working on historic buildings, driving with my bike into that courtyard, having the historic buildings next to the new one, which so nicely work together, is every day a good trigger to do good work. What I would wish for me and my colleagues in the next year is that we can continue that good dialogue, the good dialogue among us, which brings us forward, because it's a dialogue, as you mentioned, across disciplines. We are, I think, super multidisciplinary, also very international for such a mountain valley context as we are in Bolzano. And if we manage to get that dialogue within our group forward, and maybe also bring it out together with initiatives like also the new European Bauhaus and all these things, then I think we have done the next step.
Well, thank you and congratulations, Dr. Troy and your institute and your project on historical building transformation for receiving the European Solar Prize for 21 and 22. Well done, and thank you for receiving it.
Thank you.
Now we have a wonderful opportunity to move to a country which is very close and dear to our heart in the educational realm, in a very different set of engagements, but a very different set of people, individuals, and organizations. And there, for this purpose, we move to Romania.
I think we should look at the bigger picture.
Climate change is one of the largest issues worldwide, and it's mostly caused by our consumption behavior. August 1st, 2018 marked Earth Overshoot Day, which puts us at the consumption rate of 1.7 planets worth of resources every year. And these numbers keep growing. In Europe, the building industry is responsible for 36% of energy consumption and 40% of greenhouse gas emissions.
People can fix what we've done so far, and it only takes a handful of them to lead an initiative like this.
This is where we come in.
Our team was founded in 2012 by 5 students for the 2014 edition of Solar Decathlon. For now, we are 50 students, but along the years, there are 500 students who took part of the journey.
We want to create a healthier, energy-efficient, and nature-observant built environment, encouraging professionals to improve their building techniques and generating communities that will promote a sustainable lifestyle and environmentally friendly initiatives.
3, 2, 1. Romania!
You have to release the pressure.
Solar Decathlon is like omelette du fromage. If you miss pre-spawn, come and see us there.
See you soon.
In the category of education, vocational training, the European Solar Prize 2021 and 2022 goes to FD in Romania. And I'm particularly honored and delighted to have one of the members of FD with us, Flaviana Luga. Flaviana, would you like to introduce yourself very briefly?
Hello, I hope that the sound is well.
Thank you so much for your introduction, and we are glad to be here today, and we are very happy for the prize. Thank you so much. I am here with my colleagues, Katerina and Stefan. Yes, we are FDN. We are part of this incredible team. We are a multidisciplinary team that works as an NGO, and our main target is participation to one of the biggest solar houses competition, Solar Decathlon. This is how everything started. In 2012, a group of students participated to Solar Decathlon, and after that they wanted to give this amazing experience to other students, and I think that this is the reason that we are here today, because they founded FDN, and from that time we started to do great things. I don't know if Stefan want to say something.
Yes, how Flaviana said, we started this story in 2012. And in 2014, we participated in Versailles, in France. Then another house we built and rebuilt it in Romania after the competition in Dubai. And now we like to challenge ourselves further. We like to build the prototypes of a city in a campus in Bucharest.
Well, the Solar Decathlon Europe organization must be delighted to have someone like your team to be so inspired by the experience 2012, and here you are almost 12 years later and have started an initiative, a company, a program that involves so many young people but also has such great impact in the Romanian society as a whole. And if you can perhaps try to articulate where you're heading now. What is your wish for 2022 and beyond, if you can just formulate that, each of you or three of you, going forward for FDN and for its impact on Romania and beyond?
Yes, I think that over the years we always wanted to challenge ourselves. I mean, we started with the participation of Solar Decathlon, and after that, after we built the two houses, we thought that maybe we need to move on and create a prototype for a sustainable city. And now we are very focused on this, and also we are ready for the third participation of the competition. And I think that we want to increase the aware of this climate change and the importance of sustainability in Romania, because I think that is kind of like a new topic in our country, and to make people become aware of this thing. We also want to develop part of our sustainability ideas in other Romanian cities, maybe. And another very great thing is that FDN will organize the Solar Decathlon. I mean, not FDN, but in Romania will be the Solar Decathlon 2023 edition.
So in a way, you constructed an organization that is also sustainable financially. You have to operate, you have to support yourselves, you have to support the initiatives, you connect to clients, you connect to public funding, perhaps private funding, but also see yourself become almost not really professionally, but involved in the solar decathlon, in its staging and moving forward. That's a very competent but also ambitious business concept. Does it work?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it works great, and through the years, I like to tell this story to people who ask about how we organize and how we have the money for all these projects. And at the start, it was hard. It was hard to convince people that a bunch of students can build a house, can build a sustainable house and participate to these competitions. And now more and more people from the private domain come to us, and they like to help this organization.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations. And thank you very much for being with us this afternoon and receiving the European Solar Prize for 21 and 22 to Romania and to EFDEN. Well done and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our commitment to have our work be relevant to other parts of the world is very dear to EUROSOLAR. EUROSOLAR has, in the year 2000, founded the World Council for Renewable Energy, and the global arm, if you will, of EUROSOLAR is dedicated to other parts of the world other than Europe. And therefore, we also would like to focus on the important significance and impact by European initiatives in other parts of the world. And here's one that we would like to celebrate with the European Solar Prize 21-22. And that is located through Switzerland in Kenya. And therefore, we'll focus first in Switzerland and then in Switzerland to Africa. Congratulations to Solar Africa in Bern and also in its African initiatives for the European Solar Prize in 21-22 in One World Cooperation. And I have with me here Pirmin Büttler. Pirmin, thank you for speaking to us this afternoon and receiving the award here through the interweb. You have it already in the hand. See, it works. The system works. Pirmin, introduce yourself very briefly.
Yeah, hello everyone and greetings from Switzerland. My name is Pirmin Büttler. I'm a project and marketing manager here at Solar Africa. And we are really grateful and happy to receive this European prize as a Swiss organization, and that we get the appreciation for our work we do within the last 10 years for solar energy, especially and mainly in Africa.
Well, the activities you undertake, you said both educational and projects. Can you just talk a little bit about that? The impact you have on transforming the energy environment, but also the education environment in the projects you have. And by the way, where are your current activities primarily located?
Yeah, well, currently we have projects in 4 different countries in Africa. We're in Cameroon, Burkina Faso, Ethiopia, and Kenya. And it works through 3 main focus where we work on. So one is vocational training, where we really try to bring the knowledge and make it stay there in the long term. So we have, for example, educational trainings in Ethiopia, where we train more than 540 trainees within 3 years. And then the goal is to bring them, to the market, which means they are really good in entrepreneurship, and we support them building up their own companies. So we have some really successful young graduates which sell a lot of those small pico solar systems and help supporting the local market as well. But on the other hand, we also have projects where the focus is more on the direct installation, especially when it comes to critical buildings like schools or healthcare centers, where we can make a huge difference through solar energy. Because in Africa, the situation is still, there are more than 700 million people without energy. And when it comes to development, energy is a really critical factor. And on the other hand, energy is critical, but when we look at the climate crisis, it's also very important that we make sure that this energy demand is covered by renewable energies and not through, let's say, fossil or traditional centralized systems.
Pirmin, in doing this kind of work, how do you, as an organization, how do you measure whether you're successful? What's success to you?
Yeah, well, success has different levels. So that means, on one hand, we measure the key results, like how many people got trained or how many installation could we have made. But on the other hand, there are also the more qualitative results. So we got through interviews with local communities where you really can see and measure the difference, how it was before solar installations and how it is afterwards. So people are spending less money on energy. So, for example, in Cameroon, where we helped communities to get solarized with small solar systems, they now not depend anymore on fossil energy supplies like diesel or fuel. So they really can save money, and we can measure that through surveys. And it's there are different approaches to get it measured. And on the other hand, we have those kind of success stories where we have, as I already mentioned, people who got trained by us and then afterwards building up companies which we can visit and see directly how it works, how they can sell those solar systems to end customers.
That's wonderful. The end of the year is coming up. 22 is upon us. You will be able to hopefully cherish and celebrate with us the award. We hope to invite you and other winners back to EUROSOLAR and help us teach the next generation. We have a EUROSOLAR Prize college or academy in mind. We'd like to steal or reward some of your time to help us tell other people about your success. So as a final question, for 22. What is your most cherished wish? What would make a big difference in your work if it came true?
Well, like in general, we would be really happy to just keep on going, because we could grow quite a bit within the last 10 years, and it would be really cool to like launch more projects, because there is a great need, especially in Africa, or like in general, but especially in Africa, for energy and renewable energy, especially. And that's on one side. On the other side, we're also suffering, or let's say African countries are suffering with the corona situation. We also had lockdowns in our local schools where we do our education part. So it would be really cool to bring back the students to school. But anyway, on the other hand, it just came up my mind. We established a new program which is called Mobile Solar Learning. So there is also a way to find new solutions in new situations. And yeah, we're just looking forward to another great year and try to support solar energy as much as possible.
Well, thank you, Pirmin, and I would like to take this moment to congratulate you, particularly South Africa, and your work for receiving the European Solar Prize 21 and 22. And with you, would like to invite you and all of us to give a round of applause to all the recipients this year, and conclude, therefore, this event by having us all be online together in the wonderful building, virtual venue of De Waag, the city weighing station. We chose that not only for its magnificent architecture, but also its significance of a building that has transformed itself so dramatically, and also stands for weighing the significance of your work. The European Solar Prize 21-22 is herewith concluded. We congratulate all the winners. We will come back to you and hope to engage you in our own teachings and promotions, in our work, in conveying not just the importance of 100% renewable energy, but also in doing it quickly and effectively across scale, across all of Europe very quickly, as the foundation for climate stability. As I indicated before, without 100% renewable energy, there's no real path towards climate positivity. We don't believe in climate neutrality in itself, because we have too many emissions in the atmosphere to feel happy about that goal. But we're aiming at reducing the climate gas concentrations, and for that we need the kind of work that you are engaged in, and we need to promote it at the highest level. And with that, I would like to invite somebody who is really working at the highest level, at the European Parliament level, since quite some time, since 2009. He's been very effective, one of the most effective members. He is working with the Green Left Party in the Netherlands. And there's also another opportunity for me to thank the Netherlands and the Dutch section of EUROSOLAR for hosting this event in De Waag in Amsterdam, and hereby hand over to Netherlands through the good hands and offices of none other than Meneer Bas Eickhout, who will speak to us in a concluding way before Dr. Olsen comes back and says farewell from De Waag. Bas Eickhout.
Thank you very much, and great to see you all. And thank you, Peter Dröger, for the great hosting of all the prizes. And I have to say, it's really very impressive to see all those prizes all over Europe and even beyond. And indeed, as you said, Peter, this is, you are doing the work. So when you are talking about, me being high up at the European Parliament, I think that's not how I see it. And I'm trying to set the right framework, but the real work is being done by all of you. And I think the prize is just a little reflection of all that great work that is being done throughout Europe and beyond. And for that, I'm just very grateful. And my role there is really, really small. What we're trying to do, and I think also there you touched upon, Peter, it's so crucial that we are getting the right policies in place in order to make sure that all these examples that we are seeing here are also can be developed further and can be evolved, because that's what we need. And for that, of course, now working in the European Union is in an absolutely interesting time, because for the first time ever, climate policies, green policies are at the highest top of the agenda. We call that in Brussels the Green Deal. And I think what is very important is that when we are talking about that, this is not only about climate. It's going way beyond that. It's about biodiversity, zero pollution, circular. And I think that's also very good. In some of the prize awards that we've seen and that we've heard, we also see very clearly that that kind of integrative approach is very much embraced by a lot of the prize winners. So I think that shows also how important it is to have this integrative approach. What we are doing now at the European Union is, of course, trying to increase our ambitions. So that means that we are now working as we speak on the legislation that hopefully is providing the better circumstances for all of you. And I think a couple of points have been raised, of course. I think one of the top priorities is energy efficiency, saving energy. The energy you do not use, you do not have to replace. And I think that is always a very important element. And therefore, energy efficiency first is something that we really try to put in place here. Secondly, absolutely agree. 100% renewables should be the end game, should be the end goal. And for that, we need, of course, also an increase of our renewable targets at the European level. That's also what we're working on. But more than that, there are also policies for transport, for consumption. And of course, the build-up environment. And I do want to stress that if you look at the challenges we are having ahead of us, making our houses energy neutral, and one of the prizes was also, well, from the Netherlands trying to do that, it shows us how important that is. What I very much liked, and there I really would like to also signal on one of the prizes, one of the two prizes, I would say, the importance of education, making sure that, you know, the next generation who will suffer and who will encounter climate change, that they also are learning about what can we do about it, because it's not a nature law that climate change will derail. We can still prevent that. And in their education is absolutely important and crucial. And I have to say quite often it's the new generation seeing the urgency much better than the older generation. And in that sense, quite often parents are now getting taught climate by their children. And I think that's also an interesting development that we're seeing. Maybe one final point of concern, and that's a little bit reflected also in the prizes here. And that is, of course, we need the entire Europe and entire world to move forward. And I think within Europe, we still have a bit of a kind of tilting towards the northwest of Europe being at the forefront. And you've seen quite some prizes also there. And then, of course, secretly, I count Austria, Switzerland, and north of Italy there as well, of course. And therefore, I was very happy to also see the prize for Bucharest. And I really want to mention you specifically because it's so of vital importance that we will see the expansion of this narrative going throughout Europe and certainly also to Central Europe, Central and Southern East Europe and countries like Romania. So it's really great what you're doing over there as well, because that's the only way to achieve our targets, which is 100% renewables and indeed lowering our greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere. Last point for next year. I heard, Peter, you were asking everyone, what is your biggest wish? Well, we will do a lot at the European Union, but I think one of the big challenges we have, of course, is also global action. Glasgow was, I would say, a step forward, but not a major step forward. We really need the entire globe for climate action. And for that, exactly also this cooperation between Europe and the developing countries is crucial, just for the development of renewables, but also for international climate policies. But the only way to get global action is if we can bridge between the developed and the developing countries. and that this is not a rich versus poor narrative. And I think that is going to be our biggest challenge also for next year, in order to make Egypt, where the next climate summit will be by the end of next year, a success for all of us. And therefore, really great that we are doing this work, that you are doing the work at the ground and making sure that Europe can be a prime example of not only talking about it, but delivering on it. And I think that was the most important and most impressive and most stimulating to see. So thank you all. Let's keep up the good work, and no moment to rest. Let's leave it on. And I would say, Dr. Olsen, you can have the final closure.
Okay, thank you so much. These were very inspiring stories we heard today. And I think it's actually a big hope and a motivation for all of us when we come together to go forward. Thank you all for your participation, and I would like you all to encourage you all to become a member of EUROSOLAR. If you're in any European country, you can go to eurosolar.de and find the list of all the international sections of EUROSOLAR. If you're in the Netherlands, you can come to our website, which is eurosolarnl.nl. And the instructions are on the webpage about how to become a member. And with that, I want to wish you all a good evening and thank you again.
Well, thank you very much all. We have a round program behind us. We have also heard from Dr. Olsen about the importance of EUROSOLAR's work and your membership in it. We all invite you to that. And we had the great pleasure of having Bas Eickhout give leading thoughts about our work next year, and we'll be keen to intensify and deepen our work in Europe. And for that, we will dive more deeply. We work more across Europe. We have sections in Russia and Ukraine. We have sections in Catalonia and Spain. We have sections across Europe, but we also have a pan-European membership. And Bas said it very well. We need to focus more broadly, and we will do that by beginning our new call for the 2023 European Solar Prize very early next year. And we'll work with all the wonderful participants today, including the Dutch section, but all the others as well, to make that a huge success. Publish our work, but also engage in teaching the learning that we found, that we have discovered through the innovations, but also the personal discoveries of all of those involved here. And we will help with the help of Bas and others to formulate policy, help support policy in the European level, but also on the national levels. With that, I wish you all a wonderful season moving into next year. And thank you for being with us for the European Solar Prize 2021-22. Thank you very much and goodbye.